So it's the 26th of March 2022, about 10:15 in the morning UK time, and I'm looking at the challenging side of the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that's going on in the sky as we speak. It's getting stronger and stronger. The actual date of this conjunction will be during the second week of April. As I speak, it's about 3.5 degrees away. 3.5 degrees away from exact, and getting stronger every day now. Now, the negative side of Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune can be very illusory, very vague, deceptive, gullible, escapist, and avoidist. It can be neurotic. It can be the main instigator in things like fatigue, tiredness, weariness, confusion, where you've just got no energy for a year. It's common in the charts of people who go on to develop, for a time at least, if not permanently, issues to do with either eyesight and or glandular issues, particularly thyroid, but all glandular issues. Neptune in Pisces is actually, it's difficult to find anything too negative to say about that in a large scale generalized way, because Neptune's actually quite comfortable in Pisces. Neptune deals with the invisible, the nebulous, the chemical. It deals with the dissolving of things, and of course Pisces is the deep seas. So they're very comfortable in each other's company. Jupiter's not my favourite planet in that he's a gas giant. He's bigger than all the other planets put together. He's made of gas. There is no substance to Jupiter. You cannot land on Jupiter. He's hot air. He gives out more heat and light than he takes in from the sun. So that to a certain extent, Jupiter does promise more than he delivers. He's over the top, larger than life, bites off more than he can chew, overindulgent, overweight, overspending, over everything. Jupiter conjunct Neptune. Jupiter's going to amplify Neptune's capacity for self-pity, the martyr trip, the victimhood. Jupiter's going to over-exaggerate and over-emphasize the poor me, the victim, the martyr side of life. And we're going to see this in a number of different scenarios over the coming weeks. In connection with the water element of Pisces and Jupiter and Neptune, I suspect that areas which are getting a lot of floods at the moment, such as Australia, the repercussions of this are going to linger for quite a few more weeks. Weeks though, not months. Jupiter conjunct Neptune is going to bring a degree of touchiness into certain people's lives. This is primarily those born around the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, with the emphasis on the 15th and 16th of March, June, September and December, but it is going to resonate into everyone's lives, and it can create an oversensitivity to the environment, to other people's words, to their own feelings, and it can be where people almost deliberately seem to make, not content with just drama, if they can make a crisis out of what is merely a drama, they will. It's where you can go over the top. Mountains made out of molehills, things blown out of all proportion. There can be an element of piousness, piety, with this conjunction, of being holier than thou. And yeah, I do expect something like this to happen. And of course, the other extreme of this, especially when it comes to dogma and theology and religion, which is a Neptunian and a Pisces, and of course a Jupiterian thing as well, with its attachment to philosophy and truth, can be an upsurge in fundamentalism. Fundamentalism is not linked to Sagittarius alone. Pisces can be quite fundamentalist as well, extreme in its attitudes. Sometimes the worst sadists can come under the auspice of Pisces, often towards themselves. This is where sadism and masochism, the lines between each other, get blurred. So I do expect some type of increase in fundamentalist attitudes. Might makes right. Because Neptune rules the invisible, the nebulous, the vague. There's issues here around the invisible sides of life, and one of the most negative ways of looking at this would be in terms of poisons or gases or chemicals. And bearing in mind the times we live in with the war in Ukraine, I'm not convinced that we've seen the end of this yet. I hope we have. I would hope that the worst of this is over by April, and there are by the end of March, and there are signs that this is so. But you can never rule out wildcat strikes, and if anything were to occur involving Neptunian or Jupiterian types of warfare, by which I do mean gas or chemicals, then the repercussions, I imagine, would be pretty horrible for the whole planet. Never forget that whilst Neptune has a lot of lovely spiritual energy, it's also the planet of illusion and deception. And Jupiter is going to be amplifying these themes over the coming months, weeks. This influence should be on the wane by mid-April. It will be gone by the end of April. So, in the next few weeks, don't believe everything you're being told. There will be efforts on the part of vested parties to try and make certain opinions, doctrines, theologies seem dominant. Don't believe everything you're being told. Retain objectivity and make your own mind up for yourself based on what you feel. Trust yourself. You were born with not only intuition, but instinct also. Trust yourself.